Alongside Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price. 2-minute drill on this Thursday. Pretty much wrapped up spring practice today with the final scrimmage. They technically have one practice left. They may get out here sometime next week. We won't be around for it. Brent, kind of your takeaways from listening to Coach Heupel.
Well, I think it's a lot of what we've talked about for the last week or so. I mean, Jalin Hyatt's a guy who we know had a great winter, put on the weight. I think that's translated into success for him. I think he had a couple of nice plays in this scrimmage to wrap it up today. Trayvon Flowers is another guy you've been talking about. Now, Trayvon's drawn some buzz through the years, but it seems to be a little more consistent this go around in terms of everybody talking about just his consistency, his leadership, his confidence on the field. Two guys that, everybody's looking for who's the next Cedric Tillman, who's the next Theo Jackson, who's going to take that big leap. Those are two guys that earn praise from Josh Heupel today.
When you look at what they were able to do today, they get out there, they go in, and not really the elements, but it was misting and ground's wet. I mean, it's not perfect conditions out there. I mean, you've got to worry about the track you're playing on and maybe a little bit of wet football. Coach Heupel seemed like that was perfect for him because he knows when they get to August, it's going to be a lot of just hot, humid days.
Well, and I mean, you asked some good question about being out there. They've been out every day. So think about this: they haven't had any hot days, but they've had snow, they've had rain, they've had cold.
Yeah.
They've had some things that can help guys from the standpoint of dealing with that. And so I think it's smart by Coach Heupel not to move stuff in the first time it clouds up and drizzles a little bit, because he knows his football team's gonna need it moving forward. And I think that's something he's trying to convey, particularly to his young players, where he knows he needs some help. I thought another thing that Heupel talked about, I think you asked this question, he didn't get specific, but where do you need help on the roster? He made it clear they're going to be active in the portal with some guys out there. He wouldn't get specific spots, but he made it clear there's still some roster spots that they feel like they need to tighten up a little bit.
Well, I maintained that, you look at it early on, I think they would love to have added another tackle, but they feel pretty good about what Gerald Mincey's gotten done, what J.J. Crawford's gotten done. If the perfect tackle went in the portal, they would go after him. But I don't think they're just going to take a body to take a body. I think they know they need help in the secondary. They know they need help, with an edge pass rusher. Do they feel like they need help with another running back? We'll see. But I do think that, maybe getting through spring practice, maybe reevaluating kind of what you needed now versus what you thought you needed 14 practices ago.
Well, and I think that's something coaches are going to try to figure out over the course of the next year or two in terms of managing the transfer portal. Some years you know exactly what you got to have, right? You know in January what you need. But as you mentioned, sometimes your needs change when you get out there and see what some guys look like with early enrollees coming in, guys coming back, taking a big step. So we'll see what this roster looks like when they get to August and what they can add here in the coming weeks, if they can add anything. One final note, run game, seemed like Josh Heupel's a little more pleased with that one today than maybe he was early on in the spring.
Everybody gives me the old moniker Uncle Austin. Having sat beside this guy as several parents walk through and having watched him talk with parents over the years in recruiting, we'll call him Grandpa Hubbs.
Thanks.
Because
I think that's
everybody
the gray
loves
hair.
Grandpa.
I think that's the gray hair.
For Gramps, I'm AP.
Tell me about the good old days, Judds.